Daughter, I saw you sitting on the edge of your bed this morning, feeling the weight of a weariness that ordinary sleep cannot cure. You have been trying so hard, haven't you? You have been rushing to fulfill rituals, to say the right words at the right time, and to maintain an appearance of strength that deep down you no longer find within yourself. You are tired of feeling that your faith has become shallow, and that your life with my son has turned into an empty religious performance before men, a theater where the applause of others does not fill the abyss in your heart. I brought you here now because I heard your silent groan, the one that no one else heard while you washed the dishes or drove in silence. Why is it that, even surrounded by so many sacred activities and slogans, your heart still feels like a dry and forgotten well? Remember that I do not seek the spectacle of grand altars, but the sacrifice of a broken spirit and a contrite heart, as it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 17. In this journey that we begin now, I will guide you out of this stage of pretense and lead you back to the garden of true intimacy, where you need no masks to be loved. If you remain with me until the last second of this message, I will give you an answer that the world can never offer you, and whisper a phrase in your ear that will be the end of your spiritual agony and the beginning of your true rest. If this voice of mine is reaching the depths of your soul and making your chest burn at this moment, let me feel your presence here with me. Tell me your name. Tell me from which country, state, or city you are listening to me now, and what time the clock hands show there in that place where my love has found you. Let your heart overflow with a sincere cry, and write here for all to see your awakening. Lord my God, I am here. I subscribe to this channel because I love you and want to hear you more than anything. Make this your outpouring, your first step out of cold religiosity. Stay with me until the end, for I have a clear revelation for your life, and a phrase that will be engraved on your heart like a seal of peace. I know the trembling in your hands as you open the pages of my word and feel that the letters seem distant, as if the sky were made of bronze, and your prayers didn't reach beyond the ceiling of your room. This weariness of carrying heavy burdens that I never placed on your shoulders is what is draining your joy of living. You demand a perfection from yourself that I never required of you, trying to please everyone while your soul faints from thirst. The religious world demands a vibrant and unwavering display of faith from you, but I prefer your honest silence in the empty kitchen, while your tears wet the counter, and you tell me you can't pretend anymore. I see when you struggle to smile in the church pews, while inside your soul cries out for help that is flesh and blood, not just dry rituals. This superficial faith is a prison of appearances that I wish to break today. But I haven't yet shown you everything behind this invisible weight you carry on your shoulders. There is something profound that you haven't yet perceived about why you've reached this extreme point of exhaustion. Pay attention, because what I'm about to reveal will forever change how you see your own worth before me and what I truly expect from your life. If this first touch from heaven has already begun to untie the knots in your chest and bring new breath, leave your mark of affection on this encounter and share this light with another weary soul. Tell me something. Have you ever felt that your prayer is just a set of repeated phrases? He writes in the comments our first word of liberation, declaring that today the masks fall. Truth. Daughter, have you ever felt the chill that creeps up your feet when you stand barefoot in the kitchen in the middle of the night, fleeing the insomnia your anxiety has brought you? There, in that silence that seems to weigh tons, you are not the woman everyone admires for her unwavering faith. There you are, just my little one, with a face washed by tears and a soul stripped of any artifice. You have spent so much time caring about the image others have of you, polishing the frame of a life that inwardly cries out for restoration, that you have forgotten that I loved you even before you knew how to behave before an altar. I see it when you look in the mirror and try to adjust your smile so that no one notices the abyss that has opened in your chest. This continuous effort to appear spiritually perfect is what keeps you from the true healing I have to give you. The religious world has often taught you that your holiness is measured by the size of your visible sacrifice or the intensity of your public outcry. But I tell you that my glory prefers to dwell in your most honest brokenness. You don't need to shout for me to hear you, nor do you need difficult words to convince me of your love. For it is written in the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 7, Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. I look at your heart now, and I don't see the flaws you try so hard to hide. I see the thirst to be accepted, the fear of being judged, and the deep desire to simply rest in my arms without having to prove anything to anyone. You have lived as if my grace were a coin you need to earn with good behavior, but my grace is the gift I give you precisely because I know you cannot walk alone. At that moment when your phone rings and you feign a cheerful voice to answer a sister from church, while your hand trembles with exhaustion and your chest aches with loneliness, I am there holding your arm and wishing you would simply hang up and say, "Father, I can't pretend anymore. You don't need cinematic faith to touch me. You only need a faith that is real, even if it's the size of a mustard seed and covered in the dust of your daily struggles. I want to free you from this stage where you are the leading actress in a play you never chose to perform. But there is still something I am silently preparing, something you haven't yet realized about the true reason I am removing these masks now. There is a new strength that can only be born when you finally admit your weakness, and what I will show you next is the secret, so that your soul will never again need human applause to feel alive. Are you ready to discover what happens when my power is perfected precisely in what you try hardest to hide? If this truth is tearing away the veil that covered your eyes, let your soul breathe deeply now. Tell me something honestly. At what time of day do you feel furthest from me, even when trying to be close? Write in the comments our word of total surrender, declaring that today you choose transparency, sincerity. Daughter, when you lay down your masks and present yourself to me with empty hands and an open heart, you allow me to fill every space of your existence with my unfailing provision. In the kingdom I have prepared for you, nothing done out of fear has value, but everything planted with love flourishes for eternity. You have seen how my voice has sought your soul in this place, bringing comfort and direction to your days of uncertainty. Know that this channel is a garden that I sustain through the faithfulness of those who feel my touch. If it is possible for your heart, and only if it is truly possible, transform your gratitude into a seed of love for this work. I ask that you consider my love and the sacrifice of my Son Jesus and contribute using the link in the description of this video and also in the pinned comment. There you will find the sacred place where your offering of love can be deposited and consecrated before me, the Creator of all things. You can contribute any amount your heart dictates. If you wish to donate a different amount than what is listed, simply type what you feel. And always remember, only what fits within your peace and your heart. I receive each gesture with infinite love. The amount doesn't matter because what truly matters is the heart with which you give. For what is little to you can be much to the one who receives it. Whoever contributes any amount with a sincere heart, please remember to include your name and city with your contribution, because on the first day of the following month, in a unique and special video on our channel and page Divine Love, the Voice of God, your name will be remembered, mentioned in gratitude, and covered with divine blessings released in prayer. For it is written, each one should give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for I love a cheerful giver. Every offering made in faith is a seed before me, your Lord, and I will not fail to bear fruit. I watch in secret and reward in the sight of all. Stay until the end of this message, because I still want to touch your heart with my voice in this encounter of eternal love. Many times, you feel as if you are walking against the wind, carrying a heavy cloak soaked by the rain of rules that men have created to try to reach me. You have heard that to reach me you need to climb endless steps of sacrifice, that your hair, your clothes, or the number of hours you spend repeating memorized words are what determine my love for you. What a bitter deception this has been for your soul. Religion, when it becomes merely a set of cold obligations, acts like a chain that tightens around your neck and takes your breath away, transforming the sweetness of my presence into a court where you are always the guilty defendant. I see the weariness in your eyes and the tension in your shoulders when you enter a place of prayer, feeling that no matter how much you do, it will never be enough to satisfy me. Do you remember that afternoon when you were sitting on the sofa, head bowed, feeling like the worst of women because you hadn't managed to read all those chapters they imposed on you? There, in that moment of heavy silence, you felt that I was far away, not because I had distanced myself, but because you were taught that my love has a price you cannot pay. But listen to what my son tells you now, with the voice that calms storms and breaks iron yokes. For it is written in the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 to 30, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." I did not come to give you more tasks, my daughter. I came to be your rest. Religion asks you to heal yourself before seeking me. My love finds you sick, amidst your mess and your failings, and embraces you until you are healed. Do not let the judgment of others steal the peace I have already given you. When men point the finger at you, remember that I have shown you the way, and that way is made of grace, not performance. You are not an employee of heaven trying to meet holiness quotas. You are my daughter, and my love for you is an eternal tenderness, not a variable reward. At that moment when you feel your faith drying up because of the criticism of those who consider themselves holier than you, close your bedroom door and take a deep breath. I am there, not to check your list of successes, but to hold your hand and tell you that your struggle to be perfect is over. But I haven't yet shown you what I have prepared to make this lightness your daily bread. There is something I want to place in your hands, a secret that will help you keep your heart warm, even when the world around you seems too cold and religious. Do you feel that your soul needs nourishment that is not just human words? Before we continue, let me know one thing. In which area of your life do you feel it is most difficult to be yourself in front of others? Write our word of liberation in the comments, declaring that today you choose my rest, lightness. Right now, as the noise of the world's demands fades and you find yourself alone with your thoughts, I see your thirst for something constant, not just a fleeting Sunday respite. You know that the journey to abandon performance and live in my truth requires a courageous step with each new dawn, especially when the pressure to appear perfect tries to crush you again. Therefore, as a remedy for your nights of doubt and a balm for the days when cold religiosity tries to steal your peace, I have prepared something special to be by your side when the silence of your home is your only company. If your heart desires to dive even deeper into this ocean of intimacy that I have reserved for you, I have left a gift in the form of a daily journey, which I wrote with infinite affection for each of my beloved daughters and sons, the digital book called Divine Love Devotional, The Voice of God. It was carefully prepared to accompany you day after day in silence and deep intimacy, helping you to discern my voice amidst the chaos. You can find access to it through the link I left in the description of this video and also in the first pinned comment, and listen carefully to what your Father tells you. If today you feel that it is not possible for you to make this move, do not allow condemnation to touch your soul. Remain here with me, for I will continue to sustain you and speak to your heart through this message until the end. And so that your heart may rest and not be confused by unnecessary worries, know that soon after you complete your simple registration, full access will arrive directly in the email you registered. There you will find all the correct instructions, explained step by step, so that you can begin this journey of healing and truth without any difficulty. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verses 23 and 24, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." This invitation is not a demand, but a gesture of care for one who is weary of dry paths and desires the living water of my constant presence. Breathe deeply now, my little one, and let my peace fill the spaces that were once filled with anxiety. Stay here with me, for what I still have to reveal to you will transform the weight you carry into a song of freedom. I saw the exact moment when your strength crumbled, like a sandcastle struck by an unexpected wave in the middle of the night. I was there, in your kitchen, while the only sound that filled the room was the low, persistent hum of the refrigerator, a noise that seemed to echo the emptiness you felt inside. You were alone, barefoot, feeling the cold ceramic floor, reaching for a glass of water, trying to swallow the anguish rising in your chest. It was at that moment, under the pale light of the fluorescent lamp, that you looked at your own hands and realized they were trembling. It wasn't the trembling from the cold, nor the physical exhaustion of a long day's work, but the trembling of a soul that can no longer bear the role of a strong woman, an unwavering Christian, someone who always has a word of victory for others while feeling defeated in secret. You felt that the ceiling of that room was made of bronze, heavy and insurmountable, and that your prayers, if you could still formulate any, were nothing more than whispers lost in the ceiling of the house. You thought that my silence was proof of my abandonment, or worse, of my displeasure with your lack of fervor. But listen to what I tell you now, with the tenderness of the one who formed you in your mother's womb. For it is written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 15, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin." I sympathize with every trembling of your hands. I sympathize with the pain you feel for not being able to be the perfect person that religion demanded you to be. I was not expecting you to arrive at my altar in finery and a rehearsed smile to notice you. I was there on that wooden kitchen bench, sitting beside you while you cried silently so as not to wake anyone. Your vulnerability doesn't push me away from you, it draws me in. What you call spiritual failure, I call an opportunity to be your support. You've been trying to fabricate a plastic faith, shiny and unbreakable, but I prefer your faith of clay, cracked and worn, because it's in your cracks that my light finally manages to penetrate. The silence that terrified you that morning wasn't my absence. It was my invitation for you to stop talking and simply allow yourself to be loved in your rawest truth. At that moment, while you felt the weight of weariness in your eyes and the dryness in your soul, you didn't know that I was collecting each of your tears as if they were precious diamonds. You don't need a cinematic performance to reach me, you just need to be yourself. But there is still something I am silently preparing, something you haven't yet perceived about the true reason I am allowing you to feel this fragility now. There is a revelation about what I will build upon your broken pieces that I haven't fully shown you yet. If this touch on your chest made you feel that you are no longer alone in this empty kitchen, let your heart respond to this invitation. Tell me honestly, what burden has been making your hands tremble the most lately? If this message is the sign you asked for, like this video and subscribe to continue hearing my voice. Write here in the comments our word of trust, declaring that today you surrender control of your hands to me. My support. My daughter, you spent years learning the choreographies of religion, memorizing the exact timing of raising your hands, the correct intonation for your petitions, and the vocabulary that men expect to hear from a woman of faith. You became an expert in rituals, but in the process your soul ended up becoming a stranger within your own home. The empty ritual is like a banquet made of glass. It is beautiful to behold. It shines under the altar lights, but it cannot satisfy the hunger of one who is fainting in the desert. I see when you are sitting on that wooden bench, surrounded by chants and applause, and yet your heart feels miles away from me, as if there were an invisible wall between your weariness and my glory. I do not dwell in temples made by human hands, when the heart that worships me is gagged by the fear of judgment. I am not interested in the perfection of your liturgy if it serves only to hide your humanity. You are afraid that if you stop following the religious script, I will forget you. But the truth is that I am waiting precisely for you to lose your breath from this futile race, so that you can finally find me in the silence of your true state. The living relationship I offer you doesn't happen on brightly lit stages, but on the sacred and sometimes dusty ground of your secret space where you need be nothing more than a daughter who needs her father. Remember what my son taught when he walked among you, denouncing those who loved appearances but were dry inside. For it is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." This room is not just a physical place in your house. It is the innermost recess of your soul, where the opinions of others cannot enter. It is there between the creaking of the door and the silence of your room that religion dies and life begins. I want you to experience the freedom to pray without needing beautiful words, to seek me without needing to prove that you are holy, and to simply rest in my presence without the obligation to feel something extraordinary. At that moment when you close the door and leave the world outside, with all its demands and judgments, I lean in to listen to you. It is not your ostentatious fasting or your announced offering that touches me, but the sigh of relief you give when you realize that with me, you can be fragile. The empty ritual has tired you, but the true relationship will give you rest for the next decades of your life. But I have not yet shown you everything I have prepared in the silence of that place you call isolation, but which I call sanctuary. There is a discovery you will make when the lights go out and the noise of others falls silent, something that will change your identity forever. If this truth is untying the knots of your soul and inviting you to a deeper dive, show your love for this moment with your affection, and share this video with those who are tired of appearances. Tell me here in the depths of your silence, what is your heart pleading with God for today? Write in the comments our word for a real encounter. Secret. You've spent much of your life building a glass pedestal, trying to balance on it, while the eyes of the world watched you with an insatiable thirst for perfection. I've seen the weariness you feel carrying the weight of others' opinions, as if every hurtful comment, every judgmental glance after church, or every expectation from your family were a heavy brick tied to your feet. You've lived for an audience that is never satisfied, trying to be the woman who never fails, the daughter who never complains, and the servant who is always ready, even when your inner self is a cry for help, muffled by your own silence. You are so afraid of disappointing people that you have become a prisoner of what they think of you, forgetting that the only approval that can truly sustain your soul is the one I gave you even before the world existed. I ask you now, how long will you allow the criticism of human beings, as limited as yourself, to dictate the rhythm of your joy? You have sought fleeting applause, validation that changes with the wind, and recognition that vanishes as soon as you make the slightest mistake. But I am not like men. I do not love you for what you do or for the flawless image you try to maintain. I love you because you are mine. For it is written in the letter to the Galatians, chapter 1, verse 10, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." It is time to break these invisible chains. I want you to understand that in my kingdom, your weakness is not a reason for shame, but the place where my strength finds room to act. When you finally accept that you do not need the world's permission to be loved by me, you will feel such profound relief that it will be as if a 1,000-pound burden has been lifted from your shoulders. You no longer need to compete. You no longer need to prove anything, and you no longer need to hide. Your identity is not defined by what others say you are, but by what I, your Creator, have already decreed for you. You are chosen, redeemed, and precious in my eyes. At that moment when the murmur of voices around you tries to convince you that you are not good enough, remember that I called you by name. You are not what your past says, nor what your critics point out. You are what my love makes of you each new day. But there is still something I am silently preparing, a fountain that I will open in the middle of this desert of demands you have been crossing. If this breath of freedom is reaching your lungs now, let your soul express itself. What would your soul cry out if it had only one chance before God at this moment? If this video is the encounter you were waiting for, like and share it with that person who lives to please others. Write here in the comments our word of liberation, declaring who you really are. Identity. Daughter, I saw you crossing that long hallway of your house, feeling that each step was a superhuman effort, as if the air around you was dry and laden with dust. You have been living in a desert not made of sand, but of unmet expectations and a spirituality that seems to have lost its flavor. I see it when you look at the sky, from the window of that crowded bus, or while waiting in a hospital reception area, and feel that your soul is cracked like the earth that hasn't seen rain for months. You try to drink from the fountains that the religious world offers you, but the water is salty and only increases your thirst. You have carried deep wounds, marks left by harsh words spoken in the name of faith, by demands that made you believe that my presence was a privilege reserved only for those who never fail. In this spiritual desert of yours, where silence seems like punishment and routine feels like a burden, I am opening a path that you cannot yet see with the eyes of the flesh. I know the dryness in your throat when you try to sing a hymn, but the voice won't come out because your chest is tight. I see your soul fainting for a touch that is real, an embrace that demands nothing in return. Listen to what your Father tells you now, with the authority of one who commands the clouds and makes life spring forth from nothing. For it is written in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the desert. I did not call you to die of thirst amidst this dry religiosity. I am now releasing a stream of living water that will penetrate the cracks of your weary heart, washing away all the dust of guilt and the salt of the tears you shed for feeling inadequate. This restoration I bring is not a passing event, but the return of breath to your lungs. You no longer need to dig empty wells trying to find me. I am the spring flowing toward you. I will heal every scar left by human burdens and restore color to your gray days. Feel now this freshness that begins to touch your soul, like that gentle breeze that blows before the rain arrives after an afternoon of intense heat. You are not a mistake. You are not a desert. You are the garden where I chose to dwell. But there is still something I am preparing in silence, a truth about your own fragility that you still fear to face, but which will be the key to your ultimate freedom. Are you ready to let me take the weight of the world from your shoulders and teach you to walk on the waters of my peace? Before we continue, allow this river of life to clear your vision. What does your soul most desire to say to God today, now that you feel this first touch of freshness? If this word has brought new breath to your heart, leave your sign of gratitude and share this video with someone who is also crossing a desert of loneliness. Write here in the comments our word of renewal, declaring that your thirst has found the river of God fountain. My daughter, come closer and allow the silence of this moment to dismantle the last pieces of armor you've built to protect yourself from the world. I saw the effort you made today to keep your spine straight and your gaze steady, while inside your soul shrank, begging only for a place where it could be small and fragile without being punished. You are so afraid that your vulnerability will be interpreted as a lack of faith that you ended up hiding from me precisely what I most desire to heal. Now, metaphorically, remove the adornments of your technical religiosity, the ready-made phrases you say to appear spiritual, and the constant fear of not living up to what is expected of you. In the darkness of your room, where the only sound is the beating of your own heart and the noise of your tired breathing, you don't need to be an unwavering warrior. There, you are simply my girl, and my presence doesn't demand that you stand. I find you exactly where you fell. I know the weight of the silence in your room when the lights go out, and the feeling that if you are honest about your doubts, heaven will close to you. What a cruel lie they told you, my daughter. My love is not so fragile as to be shaken by your sincerity, nor is my grace so small that it cannot bear your nakedest truth. You have spent too much time trying to impress me with your performance, while I was only waiting for you to open the door of your humanity so that I could finally enter and dwell in your essence. For it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "And he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." When you acknowledge that you don't have all the answers, when you show me the tear stain on your pillow, and the weariness that makes you close your eyes in the middle of a prayer, that's when my power finds space to act. The courage to be vulnerable before me is what breaks the cycle of superficial faith. Don't be afraid to show me your weariness of being holy in the eyes of men while feeling too human for heaven. I made you this way, with this capacity to feel deeply, and it is in this sensitivity that I engrave my greatest promises. Your honest outpouring is worth more to me than 1,000 hymns sung without soul. In that instant when you release the air from your lungs and whisper that you no longer know how to go on, I lean down to carry you. You don't need a stage to find me. You only need the courage to be nothing before the one who is your all. But there is still something I am preparing in silence, a new time that is born precisely from the ashes of your total and sincere surrender. Do you feel something changing within you, a lightness you didn't know existed? Now that everything has been said and your soul begins to breathe without the weight of masks, tell me, In the depths of your silence, what would your heart cry out to your Father if you were no longer afraid of being judged? If this word has reached the most secret place in your soul, leave your sign of surrender and share this encounter with a friend who also needs to know that she can be weak in my arms. Write here in the comments our word of healing, declaring that today you show yourself completely, my everything. This is the exact moment when the sound of your restrained crying transforms into the prelude to a song you don't yet know, but that your soul has already begun to rehearse. When you decide to stop running to achieve a perfection I never asked of you, you finally take the first step into the new time I have reserved for your story. Do you feel that slight shiver running up your arms now? It's not just the coolness of the night entering through the crack in your window, it's the movement of my spirit, blowing away the ashes of a religiosity that only brought you weariness and frustration. The end of your exhausting performance is not your failure, my daughter. It is the exact point where my glory begins to manifest in your blessed fragility. I look at your broken pieces, and I don't see destruction. I see the material necessary to build something the world has never seen. A woman who doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful, because her power comes from her total dependence on me. Do you remember how many times you felt you were at the end of the line, staring into the void and wondering if there would be a tomorrow that wasn't just a repetition of today's pain? Listen to what your Creator tells you, with the voice that makes the desert bloom and the sun rise above your uncertainties. For it is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 5, "And he who was seated on the throne said, 'Behold, I am making all things new.' And he said to me, 'Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true.' I am making all things new in your life right now. I am making your way of praying new, your way of seeing me new, and above all, the way you look at yourself in the mirror new. That weight you felt on the back of your neck, as if you were always being watched by a stern judge, is being replaced by an embrace that allows you to close your eyes and simply be. In this final offering today, I want you to understand that your worth is not in what you offer on the altar, but in the fact that you are my own altar. You no longer need grand stages or human applause to know that you are loved. The radiance that will begin to emanate from your life from this encounter will not come from your effort, but from my peace that has finally found a home in your rested heart. Where before there was dryness and rules, now there will be rivers of living water and freedom. You are leaving the desert of appearances to enter the promised land of essence, where bread is my presence and rest is my faithfulness. But there is still a secret, a final key that I promised to give you from the beginning of our conversation, and it is about to be revealed to your heart. Do you feel that your soul is ready to receive the answer that will finally end your cycle of spiritual agony? Before we reach our final destination with God at this moment, look back and see how far you have already walked alone in these minutes. What would your soul say to God if it could summarize all its weariness in a single word of surrender, now that the new time has arrived? If this prophetic word changed your day, leave your sign of love. Subscribe so you don't miss what I'm still going to tell you, and share this light with those who still live in the shadows of religion. Write our word of victory here in the comments, sealing your new beginning. Everything new. Beloved daughter, now that the noises of the world have subsided and you have allowed my voice to travel through every dark corridor of your soul, take a deep breath and feel the peace that surpasses all understanding, occupying the place that was once anguish. We walked together on this path of revelation, where masks fell, empty rituals were exposed, and your vulnerability was honored as sacred territory. You are no longer the same woman who clicked on this video with a heavy heart and a soul exhausted from trying to be who you are not. The journey we experienced here today was your appointed encounter with the truth that liberates, and from this moment on, the weight of religious performance no longer has authority over your steps. You were rescued from the surface to the depths of my real and palpable love. Remember the promise I made to you at the beginning of our encounter. I said that if you remained with me until the end, I would give you a clear answer and a phrase that would be whispered to your heart like a spiritual key. That time has come, the key that opens all the doors of your resistance and that will give you strength to face any desert without ever again feeling shallow or empty, is this eternal truth that I now engrave on your spirit. Listen with your soul to what your Father tells you. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. This is not just a catchy phrase. It is the declaration that your strength does not come from you, nor from your perfection, nor from your religious effort. It comes from me, who strengthens you in the secrecy of your kitchen, in the silence of your room, and amidst your most sincere tears. When the world tries to demand from you again an appearance that tires you, repeat this spiritual key to yourself. Now write this phrase in the comments as an act of faith, surrender, and definitive response to what heaven has released upon you today. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Make this your cry and your possession. I still have so much more to reveal to you, for my love for you is an ocean without shores. Do not stray from this source. Continue seeking my voice in the other messages I have prepared for you in this playlist on our channel, where each word is a step towards your complete restoration. I will be waiting for you in every whisper, in every new prayer, because our relationship is only beginning to blossom in truth. Receive now my kiss of peace on your forehead and my rest on your shoulders. You no longer need to pretend, for I love you exactly as you are. Walk in my light, for your time of slavery is over, and your time as a daughter has begun.